All right, number 95, average speed, a related rates problem. It says we have an airline that runs a commuter flight between Portland, Oregon and Seattle, Washington, which are 145 miles apart. An increase of 40 miles per hour in the average speed of the plane decreases the travel time by 12 minutes. What's the initial average speed? What initial average speed results in this decrease in travel time? All right, so I'm given a distance. I'm given 145. All right, I'm given rates. I'm given an increase of 45 miles per hour, and I'm giving a time. So when I notice those things are I'm either given or looking for, I'm going to create one of these tables: distance, rate, and time. And I'm going to use it to relate my two quantities, which are going to Seattle and going to Portland. So it doesn't actually say what direction we're going in, but there's one where you go slower and one where you go faster. All right. Now, whether you're going slower or faster, the distance is going to be 145, and that's going to be in miles. All right. That's important because then our rate should be in miles per some time increment. And then it says an increase of 40 miles per hour, which means, all right, our rate's going to be in miles per hour, which means our time has to be in hours. So I want to make sure that we're using the same distance and same time units. Okay, that's a U. Okay. So an increase in 40 miles per hour of the average speed decreases the travel time by 12 minutes. So we don't know the initial rate, so I'll call that R. But we know that the faster rate is 40 more than that. So we'll call that R plus 40. Okay? We don't know the amount of time it took because it's asking for it. Well, it's asking for the speed, but we don't know the time either. So we'll call this T. T is the slower time. So we can express the faster time in terms of the slower time by doing T minus 12 minutes. Now we have to be careful. Our time is in hours. So we don't want to subtract 12 because that would be subtracting 12 hours. So we're going to subtract 12 over 60, which is the same thing as T minus 1/5. All right? Now you have to remember that distance is equal to rate times time. So we can set up two equations here. Okay, so we get 145 is equal to RT. 145 is equal to R plus 40 times T minus 1/5. Okay? Now you could solve this with a calculator. Now if you were doing it by hand, you could just do substitution. Don't set these equal to each other because then you go from two equations, two variables, to one equation, two variables. And that wouldn't work. All right, so you don't want to do that. But what you could do instead is maybe isolate time as 145 over R and then substitute that in right there for T. All right? And then you have a rational equation that you could solve. But let's just use the calculator. Okay, we'll go menu, algebra, solve system of equations. Okay, this is not a linear system because we're multiplying variables together. So we're going to just do solve system of equations. Now you can't solve systems that are not linear with a non-cast. So if you have a cast, you can do this. If you don't have a cast, you would have to just solve it either by hand or by graphing. All right, and by graphing, you would just take these two equations, maybe let R be Y, solve for R for both of them, and then graph them and see where they intersect. And that'll give you the time. But we have a cast, so we'll go 145 equals R times T. All right, 145 equals parentheses R plus 40, parentheses times T minus 1/5. All right, and I get my rates. One of them is negative, and my time is negative. We're going to ignore that. Then we get another answer. Double checking here. They didn't type something in wrong. Looks good. So I'm just going to copy this and hit Control Enter. It'll give me my rates and my times as a decimal. All right, so 151 miles per hour for a plane seems pretty reasonable. We're going to ignore these negative answers. All right, let's see if we did it right. Maybe I typed something in wrong here. We check the answer. Average speed, 191 miles per hour. What did I get? Womp womp. Something isn't right. Speed increased by 40. The time decreased by 1/5. weird. I don't know what I did wrong. The speed went up, the time went down. Well, let's read the answer again. Maybe I misread it. 191.5. Well, seems like the correct setup. Increase 40 miles per hour. Is 12 minutes a fifth of 60? Is that where I messed up? .2? Yeah, it's 1/5. Well, looks good. It's pretty close. I don't know why that one's negative though. Oh well. Even if you're not sure what you're doing, hopefully this video will help in some way. If you see what I did wrong, just tell me. But is that a negative? Positive? Yep. I don't know. All right. Close enough.